Check 1 2, check 1 2. Check 3 4, check 3 4.
Good evening, everybody. If we can call the meeting to order. If we can call the meeting to order, please. Good evening, everybody. I'm David Goldstein with Total Community Management. I would like to welcome you all to the annual meeting of the homeowners of Meadowbrook Point Homeowners Association. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to elect 2 new directors to the Board of Directors of the HOA. There are 3 candidates running. We had our candidates night the other night. I don't envy you. We got 3 very strong candidates. Everybody has marked their ballots. Am I correct? Everybody marked their ballots and put them in the ballot box? I'm sorry, somebody still holding a ballot? Okay, if you want to fill it out or... Okay. All right, if you're holding a ballot, we need you to complete it. While the last few people are voting, we're going to need inspector's election. So what we would like to have is, I guess, about 6 people to help us tabulate the votes so we can get it done in a timely fashion tonight. People helping us or acting as inspector's election should not be running for the board, be related to the people running for the board, and that would be good. So we need 6 or on the board. Thank you. Okay, if you did it last year, that's okay. We can do it again. So we got 1, we got 2. Well, you're on the board of, yeah, I think we ought to leave you out. Then leave you out. So, Lenny, you had your hand up? 1, 2, 3. 3 more would be great. He's on the board in the back. 4, 5, 6. Everybody got it? Okay, so if our inspector's election will meet us by the business center over where the computers are, we'll start tabulating the votes. Okay, in the interim, I'm going to turn it over to Henry Cernitz. Henry?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is our annual meeting. For those of you who don't know me for the first time, I'm Henry Cernitz, and I've been president of the HOA for the last, I guess, 22 months. At this time, I'd like to give you all a basic state of the condominium address. Hopefully in the future, your future presidents will also do it. It'll bring you up to date on what's going on. And can you hear it now? Okay. Bring you up to date on what's going on and what has been going on and what's going to be happening in the future. As you know now, Meadowbrook Point is now in its 12th year. Our HOA has been independent of the sponsor for the last 22 months. During that time, your elected board, to which I'm very thankful for all their hard work and effort. We have Alan Capel, Lee Auster, Lenny Ropa, Brian Rappaport, Arnie Scher, and Len Masucci, and up until August, Frieda Leibowitz, along with input from the condo presidents, has been working hard to upgrade this community. We first wanted to restore confidence in our management team. We revamped the whole management team. We promoted Bernadette Levine to property manager. We made Matt Larson deputy property manager. And now we have recently added 2 assistant managers, Jada Lauren and Cindy Cuevas, one to take the place of Christian, who you all know moved out with his family out of state, and 1 more deputy manager so we can be better staffed at all times. They have been working with the board and the residents and keeping up with repairs. Of course, our thanks to Jerry and the maintenance staff for their efforts in keeping the community in great shape. Caitlin, our activity director, is really working hard to set up activities for all our residents. Let's give her our support. Our HR committee is working with our staff to implement changes and to handle all the personnel matters that are going on here. We've also replaced our prior landscaper with lawn elements. I think you can all see the improvement that's been made this year. It will get better each year as the company becomes more familiar with our property and our needs. And as we said, certain items like the lawns take a couple of years to actually grow in perfectly again. This was a major effort by our landscaping committee, and our thanks to them for doing this. We also brought in a new pool servicing company. This was Aquatech's first year. I have to say that the complaints were few and far between. Our new automatic chlorinators have kept the water very clear and clean. There was very little in the way of lifeguard issues this year as opposed to the other years. And our indoor pool and spa have been totally resurfaced, which was definitely needed after 12 years, and also to stop the slipping by the volleyball people. Before the sponsor left, we entered into an agreement with the sponsor for repairs to leaks in the suite garages. We've been repairing them as they come up. Sometimes they leak again, and we go back and fix them. The sponsor reimbursed us for the original leaks. However, we are responsible now after 12 years. We've installed a generator for the clubhouse to make sure we have emergency power in the case of a blackout, so those that require electric for the medical devices have a place to go. And our thanks to Larry Ferranzani and his committee for putting that into effect. There are major repairs being done, such as the roof replacement in Building 22. Again, some of it has been paid by our sponsor. We're putting in a new gazebo down by the tennis courts, which is being paid for by the sponsor. Signs, I know that some of you hate the new signage, and we are listening to the complaints. We have volunteer residents who are going around, and they are making extensive recommendations, which we will be implementing to either move or remove some of the signs. We brought in a new security company, Bay Ridge Security. It's not perfect yet. The company, however, is much more responsive to our complaints and needs. One of our directors, Lenny Ropa, has almost a direct line to them and gets immediate responses and answers to our issues. You got to understand, we do not have all ex-police officers working as security guards here. We have college students. We have people who are working second jobs. It's not an armored camp. We have basic security. Perfect? No. With basic, yes. We've also had our locker rooms redone, regrouted to stop any mold and leaks from forming. We're being very aggressive with our sidewalk repairs. We're going to be redoing a lot of our sidewalks to make them level and safe. Over 12 years, between salt and tree roots, sidewalks deteriorate. We have to fix them. We re-signed with our elevator company, Schindler Elevator. They're a little more costly than other companies, but they are on site quickly, and they have the parts for their own elevators as opposed to other companies, which is why we continued with them. We've redone the building alarms with radio and cellular. We don't have to rely on Verizon copper wiring anymore. There have been some bugs, which they're working out, but it's a new system, and we think it'll be a lot less repair-prone and breakdown-prone than it was before. We are going to start a tree trimming program on October 22nd. It's going to take 20 days. We're going to do it right this time. The previous way those trees were trimmed was, frankly, disgraceful. We're going to get it done with a professional arborist and make sure it's done properly so that they look great and they don't interfere with people's windows and doors, etc. Alan's going to talk to you a little later about our financial condition. We are in excellent shape. We have plenty of money. Alan will tell you exactly how much and what we're going to be using it for in the future. We do know that the garage doors in the suite building are failing at an accelerated rate. We have contracted out to replace all the rollers with nylon rollers. Hopefully that'll stop the problems and have a little less repairs over the years as they go by. Transition. I'm sure you all want to know what's happening. We have reached an agreement. I can't tell you the amount yet because we're sort of with a non-disclosure agreement at this point until we actually sign the papers. We are getting a substantial amount of money. Okay, without legal fees, without waiting years, we were able to negotiate this deal. Alan, Lee Ouster, myself, and before he left, Ralph Strafacci. We got this done, and we will have enough money to put some in our reserve fund and to make many repairs that are coming up. This is probably the first time that the Beechwood organization has not actually been sued and actually negotiated a settlement. So we're very happy about that. We think we're going to get the money faster, and we're going to get the money without expending, I would say, a third of any amount received. If you look back at the other condominiums on the island that sued Dub, 4, 5, 6 years, and if they got 600,000, they ended up with 300,000. So I think we're way ahead. All right. Our physical plant is aging. We're going to have future repairs to almost everything around here. We have commissioned an interior designer to look at this ballroom and to see if we can make it look better and modernize it. We need a new floor. We need a new dance floor. I'm sure you know. People have been tripping around on that. We also had a reserve study done to see how much money we're going to need in the future. We're going to be redoing that every 5 years. Basically, we want to see how we're going to adjust the monies that we take, that we collect each month, to make sure we have enough over the next, I guess, 15 or 20 years. Finally, just a word for myself about our rules and regulations. This is not a police state. We can't catch everybody doing something wrong. The rules are here for your safety. The rules are here to protect your privacy. The rules are here to protect your peace and quiet as residents. Each of us has a responsibility to obey them. It's something we owe to our neighbors, we owe it to ourselves. So the next time you blow a stop sign, think about your responsibility to the community. And finally, I'll leave you with this. To paraphrase an ex-president, George H. Bush, if anyone tells you Meadowbrook Point best days are behind it, they're looking the wrong way. Thank you. And now Alan Capel is going to come up and talk to you about our finances. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Henry. He deserves another round of applause. Okay, we got plenty of money. The financial statements were distributed to you before you came into the meeting. I'm going to briefly highlight them. I'm not going to go over it in depth tonight. I would appreciate any questions that you have to please email me or call me on my cell phone. I'll be glad to answer everything. And if I get enough inquiries, we will hold a meeting to discuss the financials. This is our financial statement. When I started, it was about 4 pages. Since we took over, it is now 18 pages. Why? Because we are providing you, the residents, with more disclosures about how we do things. If you want, I'm going to walk you through this very briefly. I'm just going to describe the types of statements we issue, not go into depth. If anybody has any questions, we have some time. I'll answer them tonight, but I'll be more than glad to answer them if you contact me. We have our balance sheet, which is on page 8. Thank you. Thank you, Howie, very much. That's another member of the Budget and Finance Committee. He always has something to jack me up about. You'll see that we have, as of May 31st, we have $3 million in cash. We have $455,000 worth of liabilities. So we have net equity of $2.8 million. That's pretty good for taking over after 12 months. We are in great financial position, but it's only the beginning. This is the foundation. We have to now build the building. Talk about that a little bit later. We have provided you, besides the income statement, the statement of cash flows, we have supporting schedules. We've broken down the profit and loss statement by category. We have the operating fund, the working capital fund, and the capital reserve fund. Those are the 3 major funds that we use. We also have our footnotes, which you can read at your leisure. I usually say you should read those about 20 minutes before you want to go to sleep. and you'll have no problem falling asleep. And basically what the footnotes say is all the reasons that we have to do certain things. This year, if you'll read the opinion letter, you'll see that is what we call a clean opinion. Since we established the reserve fund and we're funding the reserve fund, we meet all the requirements of financial lenders as well as the AICPA. We've also provided for you this year a budget to actual statement. And I don't know how this happened, but the total expenditures for the budget and actual finished up $147 a pot. I don't know where we went wrong. If you look at the last page, that's page 18, you're going to see what the basis of our reserve fund was. We commissioned a study by an engineering company. They came in, they looked at all the property, whole property, and they came up with the estimates of when certain things had to be repaired and when the costs were. So this has become our template for our capital reserve fund and was the basis for how we determined what we needed to be put in this year. As Henry said, we're going to revisit this every 5 years, probably a little bit sooner. And that will change. We will use the funds that we get from the sponsor when we get them, and then we will adjust the amount of the contribution that has to be made. We will not use it 100%, we'll keep some money in reserve, but it should serve to lower what we do. We also we use our budget surplus of any particular year to help fund the capital reserve fund. We passed a rule about a year ago that said that we will take 50% of the cash-based reserve and put that into the capital reserve fund for the year, and the other 50% remains in the operating fund to meet our current needs. So this little schedule tells you what the estimated lives are. Now, that could change, and the cost could change, because costs don't remain static. We expected to do garages and air conditioners 5, 10 years from now. Can't guarantee you what the price is. But as we get closer and closer to that timeline and we start to replace these assets, then we will be able to adjust the capital reserve fund as needed. My goal, or our goal, is at some point in the future that the capital reserve fund will become self-sufficient. It will generate enough income to not have to contribute anything from the residents. It will be self-funding. That'll happen probably long after I'm gone from here, but that's another story. So please review the statement. It's taken a lot of work from our auditors. It took a lot of work from the Budget and Finance Committee and the Audit Committee to get this in the presentation form. I will gladly answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
We're also here today to discuss, we have a proposed revisions to the bylaws. Just let me say one thing quickly. We are not voting on any bylaw changes today, and we are not voting on them next week. We're just putting them out there. Let's see what comments we get, and we will be revising them as time goes on. We want to get it done eventually, but there's no particular rush. We want to do it right. We want to get everybody's opinion, and then we will reword it if we have to. The bulk of the changes, basically, to our bylaws is removing the sponsor. We have the sponsors' paragraphs all over the place, and we wanted to get rid of them. Of course, they're not here anymore. Other changes, if you look through it, you'll see we've put in changes to, I don't know, to go with the times, like who's an owner, you know, and who's an owner. We have, now it used to just be the owner and the spouse. Now we have the spouse, the domestic partner, the child over the age of 35, the trust beneficiary, the trustee. We had to add all these things in to, as time went on. They weren't, 12 years ago, they just weren't relevant. So we put those in. We've taken out the word unsold homes as it regards to the developer. We've put in a clause about notifying the association when you're selling your home, so we make sure that we know it's being sold, and we can collect our fees when the closing goes through. The rest of it is, well, we took out the first annual meeting within 1 year of the closing of the first home. Well, that's no longer relevant. Okay, we took out a lot of stuff about the voting rights of the sponsor. We've added in the stuff that you see in red. It's either crossed out or added in. We've added in, as to our meetings, we've asked that the Board of Managers, instead of the president coming every month, that they rotate, that they pick somebody after 4 meetings to come. I know the Board of Managers is not happy about that, but that's something we put in, but something we can change. Basically, that's all that's in this now. We put in a few clauses about what do you call it, when you're modifying your home, to let us know that the Architectural Review Committee has certain obligations and certain time limits. What we want to do is throw the floor open to anybody who has questions. I'm going to ask somebody from the committee, Bob Groman, to come up here and help me with answers. And again, any questions, any comments? We'd be happy to listen. Go. Oh, you're right. We took that out. We're taking that out on the next version. Yeah. Yeah. No, that is coming out on our next version. Page 4, this one.
If you look at the handout that you may or may not have picked up, we've already picked that up. It's in the handout that shows the changes. And in Henry's letter with the handout, you'll see there's a line that says that the second paragraph of Article 4 is being deleted. If you didn't get the handout, I apologize, but they were out there for everyone to get.
We're talking about Article 14 on page 18 of the revised bylaws. Interesting is the second paragraph of Section 1. It provides about a home that has been assessed and hasn't paid up. And they're saying, in such event, the unpaid common expense against the home which were assessed and became due prior to the acquisition of title to such home by such mortgagee shall be deemed waived by the association. We're waiving that. And it shall be charged to all other members of the association. That means, as I read it, and I'm not an attorney, it means if somebody owes us money for common expenses, which are the clubhouse and exactly all that kind of stuff, what we have here is the administration will waive what is due and ask us, the other people in the homeowners association, to pay for it. It comes out ridiculously low based on 700 units, and I thought the amount was 43,000 from last season that were in arrears.
Bernie, I think, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Bernie, I think the key word here is the mortgagee. This takes place in case of a foreclosure or if you want to get a mortgage. If the mortgagee sees that they're going to be liable for the common expenses, they may not issue a mortgage. So the key word here is the mortgagee. If a mortgagee forecloses, that mortgagee comes ahead of our costs.
But you're asking us to contribute. Am I not wrong on that?
When you say contribute, what we mean is you're not going to get paid at the closing for these costs. Therefore, it has to be absorbed by the association. There's not going to be an assessment.
It's not going to be an assessment.
No, it's going to be absorbed by the language, I see what you're talking about, but there's no assessment.
It's going to be absorbed by the association.
Right, because we're not going to collect it.
So right away, we're paying something per unit. Am I correct on that? It's the
The
first
answer
time
is-
somebody's buying something, and
But
you're asking...
let's work with an example. Let's assume someone is, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 months in arrears, and they owe $4,000. And they also didn't pay the mortgage, and the mortgage is foreclosed. We will not collect that $4,000 because the bank comes ahead of us, and the bank is not going to contribute that $4,000. So we lose the income.
Okay, so you're depending that the bank will pick it up, or some other invisible object will pick it up that is interested in picking up our assessed value that has been lost, and we're just taking the expense and taking it out of reserve. Am I correct? Yes. And I just want to know, and from memory, I think we were 43,000 in arrears.
That one particular one?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the mortgage arrears.
There's been a problem on that. That doesn't seem to go down.
Well, it's going to be waived because the bank.
So it should be waived.
Yeah.
Okay, you know my next door neighbor is helping pay for what's waived.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
No, that you can't do anything about.
Henry, you've got Arnie and Ron.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Arnie and Ron.
Arnie?
No.
No, it's definitely as to foreclosure. It says right in the first line, it's the mortgagee who shall acquire title by foreclosure or deed in lieu of foreclosure. Ron? Correct.
You're saying that you don't want anyone to attend more than 4 meetings.
In a row.
That shouldn't be your decision. That should be the decision of the individual condo. What gives the board the right to select who is going to their meeting?
Well, the board doesn't necessarily have a right to do it, because if they did, it wouldn't be here. It's in the bylaws because, as Henry said before, he would like more participation from the members of the Board of Managers, and by restricting 4 consecutive in a row and then having someone else sit in, that person would then be more active. I understand your point. Again, it's not being dictated by the Board of Managers, by the HOA board. That's why it's here, because it has to be approved by everybody in the vote. So. Well, I think if I'm...
That's true. Yeah.
But I think if I'm reading Ron right, they sort of feel that this is overreaching. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what he's saying. Yeah, I don't, but.
No, I know that.
Yeah, okay. Rick? Hold on. Okay.
The Board of Managers had a meeting on this and feel that the Board of Managers should be the one to determine who attends the meeting. They feel that's the purview of the Board of Managers to make that decision, and it doesn't belong in the bylaw at all.
Well, I disagree. I think.
People that are watching this at home can't hear the people that are speaking on that microphone.
Okay.
Whoever's getting that microphone, please talk clearly into it, because you're on camera and they're listening to you at home. And I guess the same thing in the
Dave?
Wait. Rick is still talking. Oh. Yeah, wait till they. Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, the Board of Managers met, we had a meeting, and we decided, we feel that the Board of Managers should be able to make the decision of who attends from the managers, and it shouldn't be in the bylaws of the association.
Well, let's get one thing straight. There is no board of managers in our bylaws. Okay, you guys meet. Each condo sends your 3 managers to a meeting. That meeting is not anywhere written. Okay, that's something that by custom and usage. So, as far as who goes to a board meeting, I think the HOA has the right to determine who you send. And that's something that'll be up to the people, okay? And that's our opinion. That's my opinion. That's the opinion of the committee. That's correct, okay? But what I'm saying is that your Board of Managers quote-unquote meeting, that's a custom and usage. Okay, that's not, so as far as we're concerned, as far as the HOA is concerned, yes, the president is a member, but that's why we're modifying it. We're modifying it, asking that even though the president's a member, go to 4 meetings, send somebody else to a meeting to see what's going on, and then come back for 4 meetings. Lenny?
Why does that have to go into the plan then? Basically, it's a suggestion. Why put that in the plan?
Why not?
Why, yes.
Oh, okay, why not?
It's entirely meaningless for one thing.
Okay. Oh, by the way, we have copies of the other changes that we've made, little corrections.
If it has no meaning, why put it in there?
What do you mean it has no meaning? It has a meaning.
You're saying that Condo 4 cannot send the same person 5 weeks in a row to the Board of Managers
That's
meeting?
correct.
To the Board of Directors meeting?
That's correct. That's correct.
But why?
Huh?
Why?
Why? Because
Henry, I got it. The reason was that there was a thought that the more people that came to the HOA meeting, they'd have more input, more activity, and might decide to run for the HOA later on because they have some idea. Now, so 4 meetings were selected because it was basically 1/3 of the year. That person only has to come the next 1 meeting, and then the president can come back. Now, the presidents of each condo can select who they want to come in their place. They can, but it's the managers. After the 4th meeting, somebody else has to come. The managers will pick who they want to come to the meeting.
I think we're confusing things here. The intent of this provision is to take all the managers, there are 21 of them, and give them the experience of seeing how the board works in order to get the possibility that they may want to join the board. This is nothing nefarious in this. It's our way of saying we want all 21 managers to participate with the board. Plain and simple. That's all it is. And I don't know why anybody's taking umbrage at it.
First of all, I'd like to apologize for misunderstanding as to what you said, because my interpretation is different. My interpretation, and by the way, my name is Ron Susnick. I've been on the board, I think, before the people up in front have been on the board. I was one of the people that used to sit down with Dub and negotiate. The issue is, when you have somebody who's been there for more than 4 meetings, they know what went on. Very often when we have a meeting, I point out to you that something was decided 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Why go into it again? The impression that I get, and I apologize if I'm wrong, is you seem that you don't want anyone there with continuity who knows what happened before you were there. This is the impression you're given. And I think that this issue is not for you to decide, but for the individual boards to decide how they want to handle it.
Hi, my name is Larry Silver. I'm one of the managers of Condo 4. I've been on the board of directors as well. I think one of the issues that we're forgetting is Condo 4 already rotates every 6 months. I'm not sure we actually call someone a president, but we rotate to give everyone a chance. But that was our decision. I made the decision with Howie and Lenny, and it's worked fine. One of the things I should point out is that it would be irresponsible of any of the condos, if what you're worried about is one guy's going to always be president and come to all the meetings, he'll be outvoted by the other 2 people who want to attend. It should really be the condo's decision. It works. We chose 6 months because it made sense, and 4 months or 3 months don't make it. It actually started every month they wanted to change us, but we got it up to 4 months. But I think that the idea is it should be the purview of the condominiums, not the Board of Managers, as to who goes to the meeting. If in condo 27, the guy is a maniac and he wants to be at every meeting and he won't let the other people go, they'll vote him out of office. It's as simple as that, all right? It's sharing responsibility, that's what we're doing. But it should be our responsibility. And every condo can work it out because we did.
Okay, we obviously have one provision that's a little controversial. Can we move on? It looks like we are.
Why should the board put anybody on when somebody retires? Why can't we have one fewer member until we can have an election in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, rather than have you appoint someone, no matter how short a time, that person becomes an incumbent and has an unfair advantage, and the board is picking that person?
Thanks. We're changing that. Yes, we are. Yeah, we're going to change that.
You haven't told us. We'll be the bylaws committee will be having another meeting.
Yeah, well, I'm personally in favor of a special election, say 45 days, say 90 days. You know, I think, yeah, well, we have what? Oh, we have 4.
That was an appointment.
Yeah, yeah, what's in there about that?
The change that's in there is that in the event that the term of office of the person who moves, resigns, retires, or whatever is more than 14 months, the election will be at the next annual meeting for someone to fill the vacancy. If it's less than 14 months, then the person will be appointed by the board to serve the balance of the term. No, I understand. But the way it's been changed is that, again, if it's more than 14 months and there's time for an election before the annual meeting, that position will be up for re-election.
So nobody could be in for more than 14 months, right?
That's right. Okay.
Still going to appoint someone or not?
The answer is yes. It's a question for how long. Okay.
She wants a special election for anybody who leaves the board.
No appointment by the board. Now you're picking the incumbent. I think that's unfair.
The reason why we do it, if we have to have an election for every board member who withdraws, it costs us about $6,000 to hold that election.
I think it's worth it.
I don't think it's worth it. Yeah. Well, that's why the law is. How often does this happen? Once. Well, oh, excuse me, twice.
All right, it's noted. We're going to talk about it. We'll talk about it. Sorry, what?
How many people agree with what was proposed by Marge? Marge, about holding it down.
I'm surprised.
Noted.
Okay, it's noted. Thank you.
Who's calling?
The reason this meeting was held tonight was to get your input.
Find something.
The meeting tonight is held to get your input, so we're very happy that people are coming up with ideas, and you know, we see a little bit what's going on. Next. Wait, we gotta give you the mic because people have to hear it. Oh, wait, she has the one in the back there. Rita. You're next.
On a little bit of a different note, I would like to know what the responsibility of the assistant managers are. I know we've always, since the beginning, we've had a manager and we've had one assistant. Why now do we need 3 assistant managers?
They throw me all the tough questions. It's very simple. Our workload has increased tremendously. When we had one manager and one assistant manager, the sponsor was in control. He had his people here running things. We now run everything. we feel that, and the workload is becoming tougher all the time. We're trying to do more things in the community, which requires more input, which requires doing more things, and we felt the need was to have, we had a property manager, a deputy property manager, and we had one assistant property manager. So we now have 2 assistant property managers. 2 were hired recently because one of the assistant managers had to move out of the area. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Excuse me, Alan, we have, when Dub was here, you didn't have full capacity of residents.
Well,
And now we have 720 homes. We need coverage till 10 o'clock at night. We need coverage other times, and that's the reason we now have 4.
well, that's one of the reasons, but we're doing more things, which requires more time, requires more effort from our staff. I know. That is not, we're working on the bylaws right now, but yes, if you have a problem with that,
I do.
email the board, write us a letter. We will act on it. We are very easy to deal with. You might not agree with us, but we're very easy to deal with. Yes, they have responsibilities. There are job descriptions. We put those in when we took over. The sponsor never had job descriptions. But what I'm trying to tell you is it's...
Let's go to bylaws.
Say that. If you have a question with that, please write to us. Right now, we're talking about the bylaws. The management knows their job. We have.
Listen,
Okay.
I understand what you're saying. We all understand. And you write us a letter, or whoever's on the HOA, we'll answer it. We'll deal with the problems. But right now, we're discussing the bylaws and the changes that have to be made. Okay, this gentleman here. Who else in the back? Just talk.
This isn't about the bylaws, but you just gave us the financial report. It's like ancient history. Here we are in the middle of the 5th month of the new year, and we first get a report now. It's way too late. When you go to public companies, you see the financial reports out much sooner. What can we do to get these more current and more meaningful?
Well, first of all, we are not a public company. Second of all, we do not have an in-house accounting staff. It's all done by our certified public accountants. They don't start on it till we close our books at May 31st. They don't start on it till the middle of July because they have to get all the data ready. It's not like we have an in-house accounting staff that at the turn of the key, General Motors on December 31st has its financials done for the year. And it's certified at that point because they have the accountants on their premises. We do the best we can in the time frames that we have. When we come up with 6 months, the Budget and Finance Committee will meet and they will go over everything. And then we're ready, and then the next official report we live is a year later. We don't do interim reports. You know, the salary that we get doesn't permit us to do interim reports.
Any other questions on the bylaws?
By the way, any questions you have, as I said, if you have a question on this, I will give you a brief update since I have it in front of me. Just so you know. Our cash balance is now, as the end of August. I don't have September yet because it's only October 12th. Yeah. Fast I am, but not fast I'm not. Our cash balances have increased. Our reserve fund is up over $200,000, but that's because we're making the contributions. Our working capital account is up because we've sold some units. Every unit that is sold, we get 2 months of maintenance fees going into our working capital fund. And our operating fund is operating basically at the same level now as it was at the beginning of the year. What does that mean? Basically, all of our expenses, when it comes to projects, is front-loaded into the summer months. Usually, we run a deficit in the summer months, but make that up in the second half of the year. This year's not going to be any different, from what I can see. We control the projects that are done. If we find that we're running over budget, we cut them back. But what we do is we try to anticipate, well, all we do is we try to anticipate the unanticipatable, if that's a word. We know we're going to have emergency repairs, but that's what we have the reserve funds for. So we're in a very solid financial position. I'm happy where we're sitting, and I just hope that we can continue to be that way. Okay?
Listening to this here is very frustrating because I don't think many of you have realistic expectations, nor do you appreciate what this board is doing. You have highly skilled professionals here. They are approachable, and I, for one, am so grateful to have them here. Not that I agree with everything they do, but what is going here today far exceeds anyone's expectations if they're listening with both ears and being logical about things. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify, the latest version of the bylaws is what we got in the mail last week, correct? Yes. Will there be any changes to that in the coming week? Yes, so you're going to be sending out a new set? I'm sorry. You'll be sending out a new set of bylaws? Yes. And is the vote still scheduled for next Thursday?
No, no. Well,
okay.
You didn't listen when I was, or you didn't hear. I'm sorry.
I came late.
You came late. There is no vote. Good. Okay, there is no vote. We're going to get revisions. We're going to listen to your comments. We're going to discuss it again. And then we'll put out a final proposed one, okay? Nothing is final yet, all right? But, you know, it's a process. You know, the Constitutional Convention took many years back in 1776. So it's going to take a long time.
Any other questions on the bylaws?
Okay, I think the only thing we're waiting for now is the tabulations, I guess. Here he comes. No. I don't know. Stop it. Okay, we have the final votes in, please. We have Alan Capel, 268, Robert Groman, 245, and Brian Rappaport, 170. That concludes our program tonight, if you want to call it a program. But thank you all for coming. I hope we enlighten you a little bit. We thank you for your comments on the bylaws, and we'll be revising them in the future.